Hey guys, welcome to JReviews. I'm Iceman, and for episode 15 in the JReviews series, oh my god, we finally got to episode 15. I've been taking my time with these, so, I started this a couple of years ago, and we finally reached 15, so I want to do something special. So the game covered today is a game that's very close to my heart, a game that I've played many times over. That game is Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas, a game that needs very little introduction, if any, and is seen by many as the best game in the entire Fallout series, with Obsidian Entertainment, a company filled with many of the staff behind Fallouts 1 and 2, released Fallout New Vegas, which from here on I'll just refer to as New Vegas, in October of 2010. The game immediately gained high praise from critics and fans alike, and has held a truly passionate fan base ever since, who continues to develop mods and fixes for the game even today, some 12 years later, long after the devs finished their final patch on the game. So for story and narrative, there is absolutely a huge backstory leading up to this game from all of the games preceding it, but focusing on this game alone, the game has you starting out on the way to deliver a package before you are ambushed by an unknown group and shot in the head. Known only as the Courier, the player awakens in the town of Goodsprings and then sets forth. And in true Fallout fashion, you're free to go and do whatever in the hell you want and play how you want from that moment on. You could seek revenge against those who attacked you, explore the Mojave Desert, go shoot some people, go shoot some monsters, and more. The game has little to no restrictions on where you can go or in what direction. Be and play how you want. That is the Fallout way. Or to be more accurate, the Fallout way until this point. In Fallout 4 and the games that preceded it, the play how you want style was diluted somewhat, especially in how you deal with quests and encounters. But at least in New Vegas, that is not an issue at all, and it hadn't been in any of the games before it which had that style of just playing how you want, the way you want. In either case, the Mojave Desert is populated by a multitude of factions. How you choose to deal with these and many of the other lesser factions plays a huge role in determining the course of the game and how things play out. The feel of this game is identical to that of Fallout 3 and even Skyrim to a degree, in that the game is played from a first-person perspective, but it is an RPG first and foremost with first-person shooter elements. This is contrary to Fallout 4, which was a first-person shooter with RPG elements present. The overall look is of a destroyed world, with the United States having gone to war with China several hundred years earlier. Even this many years later, many places are still saturated with radiation, which has had effects on the plant and animal species, causing them to mutate into monstrous beings. Purely speaking from a game feel perspective, the game is super similar to Skyrim, in that whilst there is the main goal of finding the one who shot you and dealing with them, the player is not at all forced to follow that at all. You're free to go and do as you like, just like Skyrim, and that is not a negative thing in the slightest. It's actually a game's strength. As for other influences, obviously the previous games play a factor, and in particular Fallouts 1 and 2, as they dealt with dark subject matter and of the shades of grey present, which was not there at all in Fallout 3, which was developed by Bethesda themselves. There is a huge sense of atmosphere as you explore locations, go on quests, meet characters, take part in huge battles, and so much more. This game is oozing with atmosphere, if anything. Graphics-wise, the game is good but not great, especially viewed with modern eyes. There are mods that enhance the overall look of things, but it's still average looking. But that does not mean that it's bad graphics. Far from it. I still find the game to look quite good with its weather effects of rain, dust, clouds, day and night cycles, etc. Music in this game is excellent, though the vast majority of it is ambient background style stuff. There is radio stations you can tune your Pip-Boy to, but largely it's the background stuff you'll be most hearing. This stuff really sets the mood in the battles and in some of the more intense moments. Props to the devs on this, as the music is very well done. Now onto gameplay. Gameplay is where New Vegas shines most. There is just far too many facets of it to go into everything, but I'll try to cover the basics. So, starting out is character creation. Starting out in the game, after speaking to the Goodsprings Dr. Doc Mitchell, you are then taken to the character creation screen. From there, you have free reign to make your character look however you like, from sex to skin tone, age, height, weight, and so much more. It is very easy to spend an hour on this screen alone. When you're done there, you can spend points on your special stats. Of those, S stands for strength, which affects your melee damage, your carry weight, and ability to meet the use requirements of weapons. P stands for perception, which affects the distance that you're able to detect other NPCs and factors into some conversations. E stands for endurance, which affects your environmental resistance, how much hit points you have, and your healing rate. C stands for charisma, which plays purely into conversations, with bonuses to speech and bartering. I stands for intelligence, which affects how many skill points are awarded when leveling up. A stands for agility, which affects how many action points are available in VATS mode, your draw and holster speeds, and your reloading speed. And L stands for luck, which provides a bonus for all of your skills, raises your critical hit chance, and increases your chances of winning at gambling. Next up is the skill system. As you complete quests, discover new locations, and defeat enemies, you gain experience, get enough experience, and you level up, which awards skill points. Use these skill points to increase a range of skills available to you. These skills are, starting with barter. This skill improves the price of goods from vendors with both buying and selling. In some cases, it can be used to bring NPCs as well. Energy weapons, as the name suggests, this affects your proficiency with energy weapons. Explosives improves your proficiency with explosive weapons, your ability at disarming mines and crafting explosives. Guns improves your proficiency with standard weapons. Lockpick improves your ability to pick locks. The better your skill, the better the grade of the lock that you can pick. Medicine improves your use of medical items like stimpaks, drugs, and crafting them. Melee weapons improves your proficiency with close combat weapons. Repair, this improves your ability to repair items and your ability to craft ammunition. Science, this determines your ability to hack terminals, craft cams, recycle energy ammo, and it's highly useful in conversation checks. Sneak, this affects your ability to sneak past opponents and remaining undetected. Speech, this affects your ability to persuade others, a highly useful skill when wanting to find a peaceful outcome to a situation. Survival affects your proficiency at cooking and in crafting items using natural consumables. Unarmed improves your proficiency in unarmed melee combat. And that is the skill system. This leads next to the perk system. Every second time the player levels up, they gain a perk. There is simply far too many for me to list them all, but these provide a permanent boost, effect, or provide a new ability to the player. Some of my favorites are Vigilant Recycler, that increases how much energy ammo you get back after firing, Sniper, which improves the chance of successfully hitting a head in VATS, and Action Boy, which gives you an extra 15 points to use in combat. There is a huge wealth of different perks to choose from. The vast majority are highly useful, though one I would highly recommend strongly against is the Swift Learner perk, which increases the experience you gain. Considering how long this game is, you'll be max level without issue long before you reach the end, so spending your hard-earned perks on that is a complete waste. Go with any of the others. Next up is the conversation system. As you come across various NPCs and some enemies in the game, you can speak to them. Pretty straightforward, right? Well, you firstly have a conversation tree, where as you select topics to discuss, they will branch off into other topics or progress the overall dialogue. And at times, you will have optional branches which are dependent on various factors like skill level in particular things, karma level, if you have a particular perk, what's your faction rating with that person, etc, etc. At times, you'll even be able to flirt or pressure the target into doing something for you. This all just comes together to add to the role-playing aspects of the game, allowing the player to speak how they want and do what they want, to an extent. Speaking of role-playing, one of the finest aspects to New Vegas is that it lets you play however you want. Want to play as a goody two-shoes? Go for it. Want to play as a psychotic madman who kills anyone he encounters? Go for it. Want to play as a more stealthy thief-style character? Go for your life. The game regularly gives the player full choice in how to tackle obstacles they come across and in how to do the quests. In addition, the player is free to go wherever they want from the get-go, if you choose to. Though going in some directions too early will present a far greater challenge than if travelled to later. It's ultimately down to how you want to play and where you want to go. Much like Skyrim, you don't even have to follow the main questline for the longest time. You can just wander where you want and explore to your heart's content and get onto the main quest stuff when you're ready. To that end, as you progress through the game, you will accumulate karma, whether it be positive or negative based on your actions. This in turn in locations will improve or lower your reputation with the various factions present in the game. This then affects how NPCs of those factions will react to you. Piss off a faction and they will attack on sight. Get in a faction's good books and they may assist you if you're attacked. Speaking of factions, New Vegas features various factions that you will encounter in the game. Some friendly, some not. The majority of them are completely up to you on whether you side with them or not, whether that comes down to you liking them and their point of view or of what they represent. There is quite a few factions present in the game, but the biggest two are the New California Republic, or NCR, and Caesar's Legion. The NCR have similarities to the American military, and Caesar's Legion, whilst taking on the appearance of the Roman Legion, have greater similarities to the barbarian hordes of the Dark Ages. Out of who is the good and who is the bad out of those two, it majorly comes down to your own point of view. But in my mind, the NCR are neither good nor bad, more shades of grey, while Caesar's Legion are more straight up bad guys. But that's my point of view. Of the lesser factions there are many, and whether you want to gain their favour or become enemies with them is totally up to you. To take an example, one of the factions is the Great Khans, who are presented with parallels to the American Indians in both their appearance and of how they have been treated by the NCR. In addition, some of them sell drugs to survive. For me, I see them as a faction worth saving, and so always help them out in every playthrough, whilst you may look on them differently, and in that is one of the greatest aspects of New Vegas in deciding for yourself. Decide based on your own point of view, who is good and who is bad. Another big player is the Brotherhood of Steel, who hoard technologies from before the war and have a distinct dislike of mutants. They have easily the best equipment in the game with their battle armor and weapons. I quite admire them personally, and so always help them out, whereas you may look on them differently, and that's fine. The last major faction in the game belongs to Mr. House, who is located in Lucky 38 Casino in the city of New Vegas, and commands a force of both gangsters and robots to keep New Vegas neutral from both the NCR and Caesar's Legion. Next up is questing. As previously mentioned, you gain quests as you progress through the game, usually from NPCs, though not always. Some are straightforward, go to X location and take out Y amount of enemies, and others are far more complex, requiring you to go through a location in search of something, or to discover what has happened to a person, plus far more things. The joy comes in how you choose to solve them. Many have multiple ways in which you can solve them, and some have lasting effects on how the game progresses and of what eventual ending that you will get based on the choices that you make. Next up is inventory, weapons, armor, and items. So gear in this game comes in various flavors, from weapons which range from hand-to-hand melee to ranged guns and projectile style. Armor comes in a wealth of choices, from basic outfit-style clothing with little to no protection, all the way up to the full armor sets of the Brotherhood of Steel, which offer far greater protections. It would take me hours to go through all of the various weapons and armor sets available in the game, but suffice to say that there is a lot to choose from. Again, choose the style that suits you. Next up is weapon and armor degradation. Taking a page from System Shock 2, the use of weapons causes gradual damage to it, which, if not repaired, will result in said weapon becoming broken and not being able to be used until repaired. Much is the case with armor, which will require repair to stay in combat-ready condition. To that end, you have the option of either having your weapons and armor repaired by NPCs skilled in the art, or in the case of weapons, can make repair kits, which will save you the cash. Next up is combat system. VATS FPS style combat. So the combat system is an interesting one with both Fallout New Vegas and the previous game Fallout 3. Fallout 3 was the first in the series to switch from the isometric 2D view of games prior in favor of a first-person view, which understandably gives the game a first-person shooter-style look. And you can completely play the game that way if you wish, without issue. Taken from the earlier games in the series, however, is the VAT system, which completely pauses combat and gives you the ability to target specific body parts. I highly recommend using this, as some enemies have specific weak points which VATS is best for, as well as for a more strategic approach to combat in general. Attacks in VATS are limited by how many action points you have, which will vary both by the weapon that you have, how many points in agility you have, and how many perks you've acquired. Next up is Companions. Companions is a key part of Fallout, with your choice in who you choose to have in your party playing a huge role in shaping the type of force that you command. There is a huge wealth of companions to choose from, so I won't be going through them all, though my two favourite are Craig Boone, who makes for an excellent sniper, and the robotic drone Ed E, who has the advantage of flight and uses laser weapons to take down opponents. Who you choose to take into your party ultimately comes down to you, and some require good relations with specific factions. All have their own specific quests, and you can upgrade their gear directly via giving it to them. Though in the case of robotic companions, you will need to accomplish their companion quests to earn permanent upgrades for them. Next up for discussion is map types and locations. There is a vast amount of distance that you'll be travelling throughout the game, and with that comes a variety in the kinds of locations and environments that you will encounter. From desert environments, which make for a lot of the outdoor sections of the Mojave, to settlements of villages, towns and cities, to underground vaults, which is a cornerstone of any Fallout game, and make for some of the most fun sections. Beyond that, you'll encounter underground sewers, cave systems, and so much more. Expect a variety of environments and locations in this game. The last topic for discussion with the main game is with enemy types. On this one, it's a bit of a mixed bag in that whilst there is a good variety in types of enemies that you will encounter, from ghouls to bandits, enemy factions, robots, mutated insects, and hardest of all is the Deathclaws, who are hard to take on even with the best weapons and armor. The flip side to it is that once you've played a few days worth of gameplay, then you've likely seen the majority of what is in the game, with what comes after mostly being variations of those types of enemies. On a first play of the game, however, you'll likely not even notice it that much, but it is more noticeable in later playthroughs. Not a major negative in any way, but something worth mentioning. As far as multiplayer goes, there is no multiplayer in New Vegas. Well, not with the base game anyway. Next up is the subject of bugs. Holy crap! That is one massive issue with this game. New Vegas is absolutely chock to the brim with bugs, which neither Obsidian nor Bethesda ever fixed. These range from flickering textures, character body parts moving around randomly, some quests not being completable, crashes, and worst of all, save game corruptions. If you're ever planning to play this game on PC, for the love of God, turn off auto-saving. Otherwise, you may experience save game corruptions which occur if the game crashes in the middle of saving. This happens most often when transitioning between areas. These save game corruptions are not always obvious, and you may not even know that your save game is corrupted and long after it has happened, causing you to lose potential weeks of gameplay. Take my recommendation, switch autosaving off. Right now. Right now. There are fan-made mods which fix a lot of these issues, such as NVAC, One Twig, New Vegas Script Extender, and several others. But be warned either way that this game is filled to the brim with bugs. And yet people love the game regardless, myself included. Overall, Fallout New Vegas is a fantastic game despite its issues. Yes, it has the save game corruptions, yes it has all the bugs, but it is an absolute masterpiece. From the way that the factions are set up, where it's down to your own personal point of view, as I've previously stated, the range of options available in quests and how you choose to solve them is very unique. And this is just a huge game with just so much to do, is going to keep you busy for weeks. minimum of weeks. And for that reason, I absolutely love Fallout New Vegas. And that brings us to the end of this review. But stay tuned for episode 2 of my JReviews DLC show, where I'll be covering all of the DLC expansions done for the game, as well as the fan-made ones as well. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more videos in this series, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and also just check out my channel for further videos and you'll find out what else is available. And with that, this is Iceman of JReviews signing out. Guys, have a good one.